Alright, I'm going to show you how to do the box method. The prep for it, you need 40 feet of string. Obviously we're not getting rid of mains or crosses or adding any. But your short side needs to be a little shorter. Now, depending on how many mains you leave open on your short side is going to depend on how much shorter. Now, in this racket, I've got 2 skips, and it makes sense for me to leave 3 open. So I'm going to do that with my short side. I'm going to make it so that it's 3 shorter, which is 5 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a pinch. And then obviously your long side is whatever's left. But the box pattern, it's not really seen that much anymore. I use it on this racket exclusively just because it looks so much nicer. Then it's kind of fun. But it was used a lot back in the olden days of stringing aluminum rackets, and I think wooden rackets as well. But a famous example, I guess, of a box pattern is the TF2000. I think it's the only way to string it. But what you want to do is leave, on this racket at least, 3 mains open on each side, and I'm going to speed through that until we get to that point. Actually, I'm just going to skip it, so the next time you'll see it, that'll all be in there and ready. Okay, now that you've got 5 mains in on each side, and again, that's just particularly this racket, 5 mains on each side, what you're going to do is take your long side and box around 3 times. Okay? Now, it's actually going to go this way. The way that the grommets are set up, it makes sense to go to the main first instead of the cross, just because you get a crossover otherwise. Technically, you could do the cross and then go around this way, but I want to do the main here, and then cross, then main, then cross. And I'll show you what one of those looks like, and the rest will be kind of obvious. But on your short side, you either have to tie off on the 4th main or use the starting cross to hold the tension until you've gone all the way around and done the rest of your stringing. I'm going to use the starting clamp to hold tension until I'm done as part of a test that has something to do with something else. Both ways are fine. So here you go. The first step after you've done your 5 on each side is to do a main. One thing that's going to be important during this installation, or doing a box pattern, is to make sure you get the string in the right grommets. You're going to be going from mains to crosses to mains to crosses, 12 times throughout this process. So it'd be real easy to get off of where you're supposed to be. It's also easy to get off as far as weaving goes, but I'll show you there's a trick to getting that right. And after you get it right the first time, it's pretty easy afterwards. Okay, now it may make sense to some of you, since we're on the 3rd to last main, to do the 3rd to last cross over here, but it's actually, once you do it, it'll make sense that you do mains from the inside out, the 3 mains from the inside out, and then the 3 crosses from the outside in. Trust me, it makes sense when you're doing it, I promise. Okay, now that I'm back up at the top here, and I'm going to do this last cross, it's important that I get this weave right because I've already set up how the crosses are going to be weaved down here. So you have to count your crosses. Now this one is an odd amount, I believe. 19 crosses. So if it's odd, that means you do it the same. If it's an even amount of crosses, you do it different. So say, take this main right here under my finger. On this main, I went under it down here, so I want to go under it over here as well. Same goes with this one. I'm under it, I need to go under it. So that's how I'll start. Everyone after that should be easy because you can just reference the cross that's right next to it. But this first time that you do have to do a cross on the opposite side, you'll need to be sure that you weave it right. And again, the rule is the same if it's odd, opposite if it's even. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as odd if even, even if odd. But now that I've gone around one time, all I need to do is do it 2 more times, okay? And I'll speed through that. Okay, now that you've gone around 3 times and you've got all your mains in, you just need to finish your crosses. Now, there are a few advantages to this method. The big one is that your outer mains and your outer crosses are more evenly tensioned than typical just because they're not used as a tie-off. Obviously, you're going to have some that are tie-offs. You can't just not tie off. In this case, it's going to be this 5th main here and then the last cross here yet to be installed. But beyond that, there really aren't that many advantages. Now, it looks really nice on the outside, especially on this racket, because there are no crossovers. You know, I mean, there's no part where a string's like, there's one string looped like this and another one right on top of it, or even next to it, or half over it. They're all separated. It looks real nice. Doing this on any other racket, if you do it where you box 2 or 3 times, that's still a box pattern. If you do it where it is just one box, that's basically the Dire Desire around the world or the UK RSA around the world. It's just a typical around the world, and you know, or it's a box pattern, whatever. But it's just semantics. But really, it's only a box pattern technically, I guess, if it's 2 or 3 boxes. But if you wanted to do it on another racket, the only way that I could see it being possible beyond this racket is if your short side ends at the top and you still have mains open to box around, and if the skips make it so that it's not so crazy. You don't want crazy crossovers just to do this pattern. The idea is to reduce crossovers on the outside. But beyond that, it's just an older way of stringing. And that's it, really. So, and again, you don't need a starting clamp, but that's what I'm using. If you don't use a starting clamp, remember you have to widen this 4th grommet here. I guess it would be head 4 grommet before you start stringing. So, there it is. Thank you.